problematic. And I think the legislature is finally realizing it's problematic because recently, actually last year when they changed the Rockefeller drug laws, they took that presumption out of the drug laws. It still exists in the gun laws, but there's no longer that same presumption which used to apply to drugs in the law.
Presumptions, right? Just so that the viewers really know what we're talking about, the legislature creates them for what reason?
Well, the question is, in the very typical scenario is, someone gets pulled over in the car, there's a couple people in the car, oh no, I've got an illegal gun, I don't want to go to prison, so I take the gun out and I throw it on the floor of the car or I stuff it under the seat. Well,
and no one's raising their hand and saying, that's my gun, it's mine, don't worry about it.
And that's the problem, and I think the legislature thought that this was maybe a way of getting people to fess up. And I'll tell you, it applies a lot of pressure to people to admit that it's their gun, but in many cases they don't. And so what you see is people charged, 3 or 4 people charged with possessing that one gun.
I guess the police officer may also think, or the prosecutor may think that somebody may say that it's their gun when it's really not, because maybe they make a deal with somebody else in the car. Maybe they think because they're underage they'll get a better deal, less time. Who knows the deals that are made among family members and different things. So that's the reason for the presumption.
All that happens, and those are the reasons. But it's problematic, and it seems that the legislature is finally recognizing that because they have taken it out of the law as it applies to drugs.
Okay, let's talk about the gun in the house scenario. Give me a typical fact pattern gun in the house.
Well, typical gun in the house happened to me last night. As I mentioned to you, I was in the Bronx courthouse, and it was just a fight between roommates. And the roommate decided, okay, I'm going to call the police and tell them that my roommate has a gun. But very typically it happens with after you have a fight with your wife or your girlfriend, and they call the police and say, by the way, look at what he has in his drawer or his closet.
All right, let's talk about relating to finding a gun in a home or warrants, search warrants. In particular, from what I've read, no-knock warrants. What is a no-knock warrant?
A no-knock warrant is authority that judges give to police officers who are executing a search warrant to enter a house pursuant to the search warrant without notifying the occupants that they're coming in. So if you think about it, it's a very frightening scenario where the police literally just break down your door and come rushing in. Very frightening.
Okay, now how did you apply for a no-knock warrant? And what does a prosecutor do to say, you know what, I'm going to be able to go in, knock down the door, look through everybody's stuff, and see if I can find any type of evidence that I could use against the people in the house? How do you go about getting a no-knock warrant?
Well, first of all, you have to get a warrant, and to get a warrant, you need probable cause to believe that either contraband or evidence of a crime are going to be located in the premises. Once you have a warrant, you're going to have to establish some kind of emergency situation that demonstrates that it's not efficient or it's not appropriate to knock under these circumstances. The typical examples are the most common examples, which are drugs and guns. You don't want to have to knock if there's guns in the apartment because you don't want to give the occupants time to load their guns and start shooting at you, and you don't want to announce that you're coming in if there's drugs in the apartment because you don't want to give them an opportunity to flush the drugs.
Yeah, you also want to protect the police officers, because if they think that they know you're coming, with Larry Davis type of case or those other type of cases where you know that the police are entering, they can arm themselves and obviously hurt a police officer.
That's the very typical example. Yeah. And once a judge hears that there's probable cause to believe that firearms are located in the premises, good chance the judge is going to grant a no-knock warrant. And if you consider that combined with nighttime entry, which is another special permission you need, where the police can enter between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m., and again, that's a special application you need. It's very scary to think about the police coming into your house without knocking at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but what I hear from what other criminal attorneys are telling me, there's a very boilerplate way to get one of these no-knock warrants. You don't have to put that much in an application for a search warrant, and judges routinely will sign them and knock down a door.
That's absolutely true. Judges don't want to put the police in a position where they're in danger. So, and understandably so. So, again, the typical warrant usually involves searching for drugs or guns. Well, in either of those scenarios, the judges are generally going to grant no-knock warrants.
Okay, let's say I'm visiting a friend and it's the holiday, right? and all of a sudden, there's somebody knocks in, they come in, and in one of the other rooms happens to be a gun. I'm just visiting. Is the gun my gun, somebody else's gun?
Well, we're getting back to those presumptions again. The presumption is that all the occupants of the room, all the people in the room, are presumed to possess a gun that's in plain view in the room.
All right, well, listen, we got a lot more to talk about. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're gonna hit a lot more stuff. We're gonna talk about Plaxico Burress, and we're gonna keep you here for a little while, okay?
Okay.
When we return, we'll continue our discussion regarding the possessing of a firearm in New York and hear how the Bronx community feels regarding the law. All this and more when we return. Welcome back to Bronx Legal, where we open the doors to the courthouse to give you your legal rights and options. I'm David Lesh. Join in on the conversation at 718-960-7241 or email show ideas or questions to david@bronxnet.org. The devoted staff of Bronx Legal, went out and talked to some people about, the Plaxico Burress case. But before we go to them, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What do you think? I mean, let's be honest here. The man walks into a nightclub, has a loaded gun because it goes off. What are your thoughts on how this all played out?
Tough case. Tough case for him, tough case for the prosecutors. You have to wonder what the purpose is of sending Plaxico Burress to prison for 2 years, though. Does it really accomplish what the law is meant to accomplish?
I think actually they're going to go, and they're showing some pictures of it. You kind of felt kind of bad for him. Certainly, if you were a Giants fan, you felt horrible for him. But the truth of the matter is, you're not really supposed to walk into any public place, or even if it's a private place, with a loaded pistol. And in some respects, I can understand that, he felt it was for his own protection because other, NFL stars have been threatened, and he was nervous. And but that's obviously not a reason to bring a gun anywhere.
It's not a defense. It's just not a defense in New York, and it's a very unfortunate case. You're talking about a man who was really at the prime of his career, and this is going to have a very severe impact on him. 2 years in prison is a long time.
It's a long time for him. It's a long time for Giant fans. It's a long time for really for anybody. The ramifications of something like this that happens to Plaxico Burress. Is it far-reaching? Do you feel that we take it more seriously now when we see something like this happen to somebody like this, or do we shrug it off and say, it wouldn't happen to me, I can still get away with carrying a gun? What do you think of that?
It's a good question. Clearly, it's meant to act as a deterrent, and it's meant to send a message. I don't know if it does. I think the people who carry illegal guns kind of feel that it's not going to happen to them. They're not going to get caught. The problem you have, of course, is that the consequences are just so severe for a man like Plaxico Burress, who this could cost him his career.
Okay, Lil Wayne, I think he also ended up recently getting stuck with an arrest in terms of the gun, and I think he's trying to plead now to 8 months or something like that. Do you know a little bit about the Lil Wayne gun case?
I don't know too much about the Lil Wayne gun case, but the problem you have is that prosecutors don't want to appear that they're giving breaks to celebrities, people who can afford high-profile attorneys. So they feel like their hands are tied and they can't do an awful lot in those situations.
Okay, we actually don't have that much time, so I want to get to your final thoughts on where are we going with this. Gun control obviously is something that's very, very important to New York City. We have Mayor Bloomberg's very outspoken about it. Where do you see we're going? Because you're in the courthouse, you see it. You're really more in touch with the community in terms of criminal law than most of us. What's your thoughts on this?
We're almost separating into two countries on this issue. There's the part of the country which is geographically the largest part of the country where guns are just a part of everyday life, and then there's the Northeast, which is just relatively small number of states, but a lot of people, where it's becoming more and more serious to possess guns. What's happening is people from those states where it's legal are getting caught up in a system that they don't intend to get caught up in, and it's very unfortunate.